Okay, well, I have that as 3:02, so I'm going to go ahead and start. And welcome everybody to this Wisdom Series presentation from the Voice for the Poor Committee. My name is Peggy Kyle-Holtz, and I'm a member of the Seven Holy Founders Conference. And if you would please display your name, so particularly when it comes to our question and answer. And so we ask you that you mute yourselves because we will ask you to hold off on questions and answers until the panelists are finished. So our brief overview is we will have a prayer and reflection, then the presentation and panel discussion, question and answer session, and then a final prayer. So Julie, if you want to go to the title slide, please. So this wisdom webinar is entitled Working Smarter, Not Harder to Help Our Neighbors, and is presented by the Voice for the Poor Committee. The next slide, please. Jack Krings has offered to lead us in the opening prayer. Jack?
Welcome. Let us pray together. God and Father, we praise you for your Son, Jesus, who is wisdom incarnate. We thank you for our vocation and mission as Vincentians to serve him in the poor and needy. Grant us your wise and loving spirit today, that we may be enriched in wisdom. May we grow ever more faithful to the Vincentian charism and offer our lives in a spirit of loving service to our neighbors in need. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Jack. So moving to the next slide. In the Catholic tradition, wisdom is something that is held in high esteem and even praised. It is more than mere information because it communicates truth, which is saving and sanctifying. By faith, Catholics believe that the highest truth revealed to man and woman about God is that he is love. In uniting ourselves to the love of God revealed in Jesus Christ, we are invited to grow in wisdom about how to best know, love, and serve God. As Vincentians, we do this in a specific way, a charism, or expression of God's Holy Spirit in the church and the world. The next slide. So this is presented by your Voice for the Poor Committee, and a subcommittee that worked on this included Julie Komanetsky, Jack Krings, Prudence Kramer, and Barbara Galley, and myself. The mission statement: the Voice for the Poor Committee works to break the cycle of poverty by listening to our neighbors, raising awareness, and enabling Vincentians to be effective servants of the poor and advocates for just policies and systems consistent with the mission of the Society, Catholic teaching, and the Missouri Catholic Conference. The next slide. So the goals for today's presentation is to share our collective wisdom, to access community resources to benefit our neighbors in need, collaborate with other churches or groups at our own churches, and to apply what we learn on home visits and from each other to encourage change. Next. So there is a continuum. We hope that in our work with our neighbors in need, if some come to us that are in desperate need, they may be in a position of dependence. But we hope to move people along this continuum from doing something to someone or for them to empowering and equipping people that they can help themselves and eventually achieve a place of interdependence. The next slide, please. So systemic change, as defined by the National Office, is as follows. Systemic change among those living in poverty aims beyond providing food, clothing, shelter, and alleviating the immediate needs. It enables people to engage in the root causes of their poverty and to create strategies, including advocacy, to change those structures that keep them in poverty. And I think in this this definition of systemic change, I hear many of the principles of Catholic social teaching. There are 7 of those altogether, but 4 that I hear particularly in this deals with the life and dignity of the human person, the call to family, community, and participation, the option for the poor and vulnerable, and the dignity of work and the rights of workers. Moving to the next slide. In our Voice for the Poor booklet, I was struck by this quotation from Blessed Frederick Ozanam. For if the question which disturbs the world around us today is not a political question, but a social question, if it is the struggle between those who have nothing with those who have too much, if it is the violent shock of opulence and of poverty which shakes the earth under it, then our duty as Christians is to throw ourselves between these irreconcilable enemies and to make the ones divest themselves so that the other may receive as a benefit, so that equality may operate as much as it is possible among people, and to make charity accomplish what justice alone cannot do. It is a good thing then to be placed by Providence on neutral ground in order to act as a mediator. Now, I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, that statement could have been written today. We find ourselves very much in a world that shows those same distinctions and which asks us to intervene to help our neighbors in need so that they can live a decent and wholesome life. So with that said, I'm going to turn the session over to Barbara Galley, who's from Our Lady of Providence Conference, and Barbara will take care of introducing the panelists.
Thank you, Peggy. This afternoon, we welcome 3 fellow Vincentians to share their experience of working smarter, not harder, to help our neighbors. Our first speaker is Mike Karason, Conference President of 7 Holy Founders. Mike, tell us about accessing community resources that benefit our neighbor.
Thanks, Barb. Right off the bat, I'm going to mention getting involved with the school districts. I reached out a number of years ago to the Athens School District to find out if they had any type of assistance for people in the community that had children in school, which they did. And after that one, I contacted the Lindbergh School District, the Bayless School District, and each and every one of them have a homeless coordinator, a social worker, and it's been nothing but an uphill, I shouldn't say uphill, but a downhill trek getting help from them. They contact us, we contact them, and we collaborate on assisting families that have school children in the school districts. And it's been a real pleasure working with a lot of them. Matter of fact, I was invited to the community action team 3 years ago, which I became a part of.
Pick me up to go work security down there on Friday after 10 when I get home.
Okay, well, good luck.
Okay.
Anyway, I was involved with that, and we meet every month. We brainstorm ideas to help families. We bring in other organizations that can help families. I found out about ALSA. We hear about people all the time clamoring to get assistance for disability payments. They're going through Social Security. There's an organization that will help with that. ALSA is the organization. They can speed up that process for them. They are governed by the Social Security Administration, so they can't be gouged on funds that they would receive. It's based almost solely upon what they get for them. So that's 2 of the things that I've learned from these agencies, and I'm always out there looking for other agencies. Anybody that can help us help the neighbors makes it a lot easier. And I'm going to throw one more plug in there that we use ServeWork constantly. not only for our neighbors, but I look at other conferences and districts to find out what kind of resources they have in their serveware listings. And I found a few of them that are quite interesting, and we've put them to use also. So don't anybody say, or don't give up on serveware, please. It's very important, not only to the Vincentians to help the neighbors, but also to the district and also to the council. I think that's all I've got.
Okay, good information, Mike. Thank you. Moving on, our next speaker on our panel is Prudence Kramer. Prudence is a Vincentian with St. Margaret of Scotland Conference. Prudence is also a member of Voice for the Poor. And Prudence will speak on collaborating with other churches and also working with groups within our own churches. Prudence?
Okay, well, thanks, Barb. And hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for coming and listening to us today. I'm from St. Margaret of Scotland, which is a city parish and an old parish. We're over 100 years old. And our conference is well over 100 years old. But, you know, and some of us are not quite 100 years old, but we're getting there. So we frequently took food to our neighbors in need when we made visits, and it was becoming a lot more difficult as some of us got older to carry it up. You know, most of the housing in this area is multi-story. You have to climb 2 or 3 stories. Carrying canned goods up became a little bit of a problem for some of us who were making home visits. So one of our members said, why don't we just not do that and give out vouchers for food or whatever, and donate the canned goods we had, because we had a nicely supplied pantry due to the generosity of our parishioners, to a neighboring organization called Isaiah 58. Isaiah 58 is run by the Disciples of Christ. It's a collaboration of churches that provide food and other services to neighbors in our neighborhood, in our geographical neighborhood. They draw volunteers and contributions from many outlying churches in the county. They have a wonderful volunteer group. And especially during the pandemic, we began to collaborate with them when we weren't able to make home visits. Our neighbors in need could go up there, which it's centrally located in our geographic area, and obtain food 5 days a week. 5 days a week, they run a food pantry. We couldn't possibly do that, but we can support them and they can support us. And it's been a wonderful collaboration. I noticed that my conference president, Dave Greiner, is on this call, and I'm sure he would say the same thing. It's been a wonderful collaboration. We have learned a lot from each other. In preparation for this little talk, I asked the program director, Meredith Jackson, who is a minister with the United Church of Christ, what she had to say about the collaboration. And she said it was her response is, it lets us each do what we're good at. You know, Vincentians are good at home visits, at going into somebody's home, talking to them, seeing what needs they have, and hopefully being able to try to meet those needs. And they are very good at running this food pantry 5 days a week, 52 days a year, and marshaling a lot of volunteers from a lot of different places. They can't make home visits, but they can provide the food. It's been a great collaboration. And I would just urge you to look around in your neighborhood and see if there's another church or a volunteer group, faith-based group perhaps, that provides a service that you could use for your neighbors in need and you can contribute to. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peggy, for sharing all this information. Our third speaker this afternoon is Andy Graff. Andy is conference president of St. Vincent de Paul in Perryville. And Andy will address change. Specifically, how can we apply what we learn on home visits and from each other to encourage change?
Good afternoon, everybody. So I get the most difficult. It could be, it very well could be. We are unique in Perryville to have a parish food pantry solo run by the Daughters of Charity folks, and we work with them very closely. So our conference focuses on everything else that neighbors would need, excluding food. And that includes home visits, of course. And we've learned to take our reference book, if you will, of all the agencies that are available in Perry County and the surrounding area to help those neighbors in need. A lot of time, yes, they have a utility bill that is due very soon, but as we know by talking to them, we can kind of root out where the situation lies and that they have other needs that, and we can supply the resources and they can reach out to those in the community to get additional help. And then that would allow them to have more funds to make their budget go around. So communication is a really big deal. They have something down in Perry County called Council of Agencies, and we met this afternoon. Any agency in Perry County and the surrounding counties that helps people are welcome to attend this meeting, and it's just to rub elbows, to listen to one of the agencies speak about what they do, and to get literature, current literature, which is available in the area. So we collaborate very closely with the East Missouri Action Agency down here because they have so many resources, and the state that's state funded. We also partner up with Aging Matters for the elderly because there's so many programs down here to help in that realm. So I would say that the biggest thing that we do down here, and we've learned from our home visits, is to be prepared to share information with our neighbors in need. That is so very important. We reach out to other churches to get our helpline put in their parish bulletins or their bulletins. That's a good idea because we do have a walk-in center down here. We have our own external office and we keep hours 2 days a week, and we have a on-call list. So if someone would call, everybody takes a couple days of the month, so we can service and help those in need. We can pray with them, we can visit them, and we just share information. I think that's the best thing I can come up with, is that share all of your information and have it all. We have it in a binder, so we're very fortunate we can do that.
Okay, Andy, thank you very much. Anything else that you are adding or?
Well, I suspect that most conferences have their own internal vouchers. I know we do. They're number specific. It's a 4-digit number. So every time we help a neighbor in need, we log this 4-digit number onto Serveware, and it allows us to track all of our information. And then Serveware gives us a great printout of where we spend our funds when we're trying to give a neighbor a leg up. And we've gone around to local businesses and utilities, and they accept these vouchers from us. So we call it our voucher system, and we write many vouchers a month, and these vouchers are reconciled through our treasurer, and keeps track of everything, and has made it very Serveware has just made life so easy for us with being able to track the information. So we can say we help this many families or this many people with rent this month by the push of a button,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. And so that working with John uh, with Servware has really helped us there. A few things. Some of the agencies that are state funded or grant funded would ask us to send people their way first. Use state funds, use grant funds, and if they're not able to help, well, then we can step in and we can use the funds that are generated from our thrift store down here. So we kind of personalize it down here that way. I kind of think maybe we're in a unique situation compared to many other conferences, though.
Mhm. Mhm.
Andy, can I ask you to speak on one more thing, if you don't
You can.
mind?
You
Thank
can.
you. And I'm sure yours isn't the only conference, but you've really talked a couple of times about the network of people using not just agencies, but the folks you know in your community to help neighbors out with maybe a repair job they need or whatever it might be, how you take advantage of the skills in the people that you know. Will you just comment on that as well?
I'd be happy to, and I really think this is part of being in a small community. It's probably not as available in city life or in counties, but around here we talk about. I know a guy, and parishioners. We all know guys. If you need something done, hey, call this guy. He's good. He's retired, but he's good. And of course we watch who we give numbers out to. But if we have a neighbor in need that needs a ramp, and we know a guy that does ramps, we talk to them, and they understand that we vet people, and a lot of times, just for materials or even without materials, they'll go do a job. And we're seeing more and more of that down here. It's absolutely wonderful that we're able to do that. Now, how that got started, I really don't know. I think golf has a lot to do with it. We have a golf course down here, and a lot of retired people play golf. And oh yeah, the guy I golf with, he does this. And we got a new furnace for a lady in a mobile home through that connection. Oh yeah, my golf partner owns a heating and cooling company, and I play cards with him all the time. So do you think he could spring for help us out here? And so the communication factor is this huge, and talking to people, it just helps so much. And I'm sure all of you realize that already. So thank you for asking.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question for Mike Carazone. Mike, something else that you've done is to set up a way for our neighbors to get help with LIHEAP, and having these Community Action Agency of St. Louis County really come into our area rather than people trying to track them down. I wonder if you'd talk about how that happened.
It came about because of the CAT meeting, the community action team with the school districts. I was sitting between the St. Louis County Library manager of St. Louis County Libraries, and I was sitting next to the community action agency assistant director. And I just kind of said, hey, can we put one of their particular persons into the library here in Afton? And after about 6 or 8 months, it finally came true, I guess February of last year. They've since, they're in our Grantsview library, they're in our Weber Road library in the morning, Grantsview in the afternoon, and then branched out to Feed My People down in Lemay this past fall, and they're up in the Ferguson library right now, and they're looking to expand further south here in St. Louis County. So they are a good agency to work with. Georgie Donahue and Ramona Johnson, they will do anything to help our neighbors as long as they want to be able to bring the necessary paperwork in with them. They may not have funds for water, but she's got a bunch of different buckets she can pull funds from for water right now, even though they don't have the LIWAP program. And that's statewide. LIWAP was cut out the 31st of December. but they do have funds available. A lot of it's funded by American Water, the H2O funds right now. So yes, it is definitely a good program, and that's the type of agencies I'm always looking out for.
Mhm.
Thanks, Peggy.
And Mike, I'll agree with you. Our agency down here is East Missouri Action Agency,
Yeah.
and we work with them
Mhm.
as a matter of fact, when people look for utility help, we usually ask that they go there first.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
we're on a first name basis with them, and they're a good group of folks.
Definitely, definitely. I would encourage everybody to reach out to, in your particular neck of the woods, reach out to anybody that's having to do with LIHEAP. Find out. Urban League, I have one name that I can never get a hold of them, but I'm still calling. I don't get calls back for the city residents that for the city conferences, but I'm still working on it.
Mhm. Okay.
I have a question. Michael, can you tell me, when you say work with LIHEAP, are you talking the individual agencies that we mail the applications to?
Well, that for St. Louis County, that would be Castle. It depends upon where you're located at.
Jefferson County, so we are Jefferson Franklin in Hillsborough.
And there's a Jefferson.
So who you're
Franklin.
talking to, people higher than that or each
Oh, no,
individual?
no.
So
Let me
like,
pull it up right here because I've got that's exactly what I was going to pull up. I've got
Okay.
it right here in front of me. Wherever your county is listed on here, Jefferson Franklin is 920 in Hillsborough, Missouri.
right.
So that's who you would contact and just say,
That who you get to come to the libraries to do this?
well, it's from Community Action Agency of St. Louis County. That they actually work the program for the state and for the federal government.
Can you
They're
say
like
that
a
name
go-between.
again? Community Action?
Community Action Agency of St. Louis County.
So Kathy, yours would be the Franklin Jefferson
No, that's
Community
what,
Action Agency, and you would be doing some, you could advocate to try to get them to actually come out of their office and come to where the people are. That's
Yep.
basically what Mike has done because St. Louis County is so large. And they, instead of trying to get everyone to their office, they're hitting some of the public libraries now, which
Mhm.
allows neighbors on the south side, for example, to have easier access to them. And then Andy is saying a similar thing down in Perryville, just making that connection so that you can call them and say, I'm sending somebody your way, or we've done this for someone. Might you be able to help with the utility? That opportunity to collaborate and know that the difference is really being made and that
Kathy,
the help is substantial.
so how does that get advertised out to the public that they're gonna be like, is that something that our Vincentians are doing, or is that something they do to let people know on this day I'm at this library?
Yes, both.
It's both, really. I've seen signs at the library that
Mm.
the LIHEAP application representative is here on Mondays. We carry a flyer that gives the day, the locations and the times, and we give it to our neighbor in need.
And do most people stop there first before going to their own Vincentian checkbook, conference book?
That's a loaded question because I'll tell you probably not, because they're so used to coming to St. Vincent de Paul
Okay,
over the years or over the months, that if we say, oh, here, why don't you try Castle and see if they can help? They just assume not. But when it comes down to it, where we say we will pay $50 or $100 if you pay another $100 if you go and apply for LIHEAP or with Castle for LIHEAP,
And
they're more
Okay.
attuned to.
Kathy, Donna Masters is the contact at JFCA that we work through.
what's the name?
Donna Masters. I can send you her phone number.
I
I'd love
just
to-
called them yesterday and for a neighbor in need because she's really got a low income and she has some money like she has some heating due at the end of May. May 31st is the last day to apply for this winter season that they just had.
Yeah.
And then because she's on SNAP and she's disabled, she can apply October 1st to begin again in November 1st. Other people have to wait till November 1st to start in December 1st, is what I was told by, I forget who I spoke to. I wrote it down, but
The ECIP will begin June 1st. That's
that's it.
emergency
But that's crisis.
crisis intervention. If she's in that dire straits, she should be able to apply. How old is she? Is she over 60?
No,
No, okay.
no. But yeah, she doesn't have a disconnect date, but she's behind 3 months. I mean, she's on HUD housing and everything. So I'm gonna send her there first to see if
I
they
would.
can pay it, so she can come back to St. Vincent de Paul and get additional help. Because we set a somewhat of a limit of how much we can give out per person or per family or whatever. Just to a
And
point.
based on her income too.
Oh,
So
it's
per
$1,000, $1,080 a month. So that's her income. She's less than half. She's less than half of the first cutoff there.
Right, because it's 25, 35 for the max on one individual.
Right. Yeah, she lives alone.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I will contact Donna and see if I can get that started here.
And I love the interaction just right here, trading phone numbers. That works
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah.
You're doing exactly what we hoped you would do, is that not just asking questions, but also drawing the wisdom from, this is a group with a lot of wisdom in it, not just the panelists and the subcommittee members. So I want to thank you, Barbara, for taking care of the introductions of our panelists. And we've already moved into it. So let's continue with any questions or comments that you might have that that will advance our conversation here. Let me add before we go to that our co-chairs of the Voice for the Poor Committee, Bernie Sammons and Mary Kreinkamp, are on this webinar. And one of the things we do at Voice for the Poor is read, especially information. And we are in the midst of reading a book by Matthew Desmond called Poverty by America. And one of the things that he makes a point of is empowering the poor. And one way is to help them to use the benefits rather locally and that the government has that are already available, but many people are not using. So that might be one thing to think about in terms of home visits, is to find out what programs people already qualify for, but they may not be using, perhaps out of the fear of shame or embarrassment, but yet the money is there and is available for people. Okay, so other questions or comments?
May I make a comment? I'm Jane Garvin from the Annunciata Conference, and we just learned about help for people with rent through a Salvation Army program, and it's with federal funds, and the people have the opportunity to go to the library. That's what made me put these two together. They have social workers at various libraries on certain days where they can go, and the social workers will help them fill out the applications so that they can get this help. And you have to make an appointment to do it, but I think that from what I understand, it's pretty simple to get the appointment. And so those are things that I never even knew about until last week. But for people who have needs for rent, which is almost everybody that calls us, this is something that they should know about and we should know about, but better learning late than never.
Jane, what is the program called? Do you know?
I don't know. I just know that it was forwarded to us, and it's Salvation Army. I think if you Google Salvation Army programs, and if I can find it, it was forwarded to me from somebody from St. Monica's parish conference. I will try to forward it, but I can't pull it out right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know if it's limited to certain counties?
I'm sorry?
Do you know if it's limited to certain areas, certain counties, cities?
I think it's statewide.
Cape Girardeau has a Salvation Army, or has like Catholic Charities, and they help with rent down in Cape Girardeau. I know that.
Nice.
And this is Sandy. Salvation Army in Jefferson County also helps in the Jefferson County area.
Can't see you,
I
Sandy.
saw something in St. Louis, they call it Homes of Hope is their housing assistance program.
Mhm.
And it does show St.
Salvation
Louis
Army?
County. Yes, whether they currently have money, I don't know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Can I
Okay.
ask, Michael, is it Mike or Michael Carasone?
Yes, I'll answer anything.
Um, the social worker or the people from, is it Community Action, you said they're at the county libraries, even though they're located there, can city people access for the LIHEAP?
Ramona will work with people coming out of the city to fill out the application, but she cannot file it. It has
It
to be
gets filed with Urban League
Yes.
if you're
Yeah.
city.
And
Okay.
unfortunately, the closest one they have right now is the Wool Center up on North Kings Highway.
Okay.
I
We
have
might
another
say that is a systemic issue about the Urban League,
Yes.
that those
yes.
who are members of the city conferences might want to think of a strategy for how to encourage the Urban League to expand its office location so that it's more accessible to
Oh,
people. That's a
yeah.
systemic issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. That's why I've been trying to get a hold of somebody to call me back and just offer some things to them.
Wow. We use, and I'm with St. Stephen's and that's Immaculate Heart at St. John's. It's pretty much the 63116 zip code. It's pretty big. And
Mhm.
so we refer people to Franciscan Connection. If
Yes.
anyone's aware of them, they carry on this St. Margaret of Scotland, the lady that was on the zip code that they help is 63111, 63116, and 63118.
Thank you.
And they're open Tuesday through Friday. And their number is 314-773-8485. I think
you
they
say-
only help every so often, like every 6 months, and I don't know how the income part works, but if you qualify, they'll help, I think, with $50 or $75. I know I have a couple other members on. If I'm incorrect, please correct me, but
For what is that for?
for utilities.
That's in the city, Kathy.
It's in the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in
What-
the city.
Yeah,
And what are
Barbara,
the zip codes there? 63116?
111, 116, and 118.
yeah, that's pretty much South St. Louis,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
the Dutch town neighborhood.
Yep,
Yep.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it goes to the
Right.
river and yeah, it's, like I said, our conference covers 63116, 63111, and part of 63123.
So
So-
Peggy, I said I was gonna keep my mouth shut, but I find myself wanting to jump in and
Fine. This
No,
is
man.
let me just say the beauty of our panelists is we had city, suburb, and rural. And I see Vincentians from all three of those geographic regions. So I love that. And I heard Jane talk about rent and Salvation Army. And we take a lot of calls down at the council office from Vincentians who are overwhelmed by the rent requests sometimes. And sometimes discouraged, I think, by the fact that somebody's behind on their rent. So I want to share that through the national office, they've put forth a study, that I think was done out of Notre Dame in collaboration with a different nonprofit, and households that were in threat of eviction. So we're not just talking a month behind, but we're actually about to be evicted. A study of those households who received rent and utility assistance to the tune of about $2,000. So that's a couple months' rent these days. 6 months later, 81% of those households were still housed. And 12 months later, 73% of those households were still housed. So I'm here to tell you that what you're doing does work. And thank you for what you do.
Julie. Thank you, Julie.
I haven't.
Yeah, that Salvation Army, I think it's UHONS-211, I think is what they go by. We heard about it from Women's Care Connect, but the caseworker there says they've never seen anybody actually successfully access those funds, but I suppose it's worth a try.
Jack, what conference are you from?
St. Clair of Assisi.
Okay, thank you. Same as Bernie. Thank you.
I have questions for Michael too, if I
Why
can.
is everybody picking on me?
Well, you said some interesting things. You talked about information about resources on Serveware.
Yes.
You can post your resources on Serveware?
I have a district account because I'm a district liaison, so I can see each conference what they have. If that
Okay,
makes
so
sense.
that's not something I can access.
No, can't.
Okay. And you say you've reached out to school districts. Are they on Serveware?
No, they're not.
How do you approach the school districts, and how are you able to help?
I contacted the social worker at Afton School District, and I just said, there's a family that is calling us constantly looking for help with utilities. Do you guys do anything like that? And she said, oh, sure. We do $300 per family per year.
The school?
For the school. And I don't know if it's funded by the staff, if it's funded by the state. I never did ask those questions, as long as they would pay something towards it. But that's when I contacted Lindbergh and Bayless and Melville, and they all have the same thing. They all have funds available that they will pay as long as they have a student there in the school district, and they have limits on it. None of them will pay a rent. It's mainly utilities, electric, gas, and water. But I just, after I talked to Lindbergh or Afton, I reached out to the other ones. And sure enough, they were there. They had it going also.
And I'll add, this is Sandy. I'll add, we recently found out, probably end of last year, that the Northwest R1 school district out here in Jefferson County, they were given a grant by the local funeral home, and they will assist with rent and electric or rent and utilities. And after finding that out in the last year, I have now formed a very close relationship with Carly, the social worker at the R1 school district. There are two of them that work that way. And Carly will call me or send an email if they have a family that's in need, that their need is too great for them to assist with. And then if we get a family, the need is too great, I reach out to Carly and we share resources. We've partnered together, kind of like twinning within our conferences. So that has been a blessing. So I encourage anybody in the Jefferson County area to reach out to your school districts, because that was something we just stumbled on. And it has been a blessing to us. And Kathy, I will mention, we have all of our resources. I'm the district liaison for the Festus district. And I tried to keep up with all the resources in Serveware, and I really wish Serveware would fix it so that on a district level, we can have one database of references that could then be downloaded to each conference. But no, someone has to key that all in manually. We've got better than 100 and something in Our Lady Queen of Peace's database. And I started working on Good Shepherds, but it just takes so much time to type all of that. And I really wish we could encourage Mark Stein to have some sort of import-export functionality there, so we could, with at least within the district level, share all the resources within our district, within a district with all the conferences, because there's a lot of them in there.
Are you working off of this?
Oh no, I actually have that downloaded, and there's a place in Serveware where you can put your conference files, your district files, and I have that loaded up there. And I just share that information at our monthly meetings. Hey guys, don't forget that resource is up there. Now there's a couple resources within that guide, Kathy, that I felt we would use, and I split them out individually and I put them in our reference or resource list.
And one thing I found is that those books with all those resources are nice, but you can't just hand them out, you'd go broke with printer ink and paper trying to copy them for everybody. So we condensed everything down to a one-page, the 95% of what we use, a one-pager that we can just print out and give to our neighbors when we go on a home visit, or we can email it to them if it's a phone visit.
Camille, what conference are you a member of?
Sacred Heart, Crystal City.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say for the city, I think each school probably has a social worker. I tutor at Man, which is a school close to us, and they have a very lovely woman who's, I don't know if she's a trained social worker, but she has access to resources for the students. She's kind of a coordinator of services. And I think I believe each school in the city has somebody like that. So if you can identify that person and you have a family with a child in that school, it would be worth making sure your family knows about them and calling them yourselves. So
I will mention, I went on a home visit with a neighbor that the school district reached out to us on, and I couldn't find another Vincentian that was available to go in a kind of in a crisis situation for a home visit. So Carly went with me on that home visit to, meet with that neighbor. And it's just very good to have those relationships. I think that woman walks on water, so.
I want to give a shout out to Peggy on this here book that she was talking about, Poverty by America. I'm on my second time around reading it. It's just a very, very good book, I believe.
It is.
And we keep our resources are a digital copy also. That's a good idea.
It's easier to search if it's digital. If you've got paper, you're just thumbing through it. So.
Okay.
I'm going to show something real quick, but you probably all saw this last year.
Yeah.
What is it?
The
Faces of Hope.
Faces of Hope. This young lady, the school counselor, the homeless coordinator, called me last year and said her and her 3 children were living in a 1-bedroom apartment up on Watson Road. We have since worked with her, got her, and through connections through the Vincentians, got her a job at Barnes Hospital, moved her into a place of her own in the city, strictly because a call from the she was actually the homeless coordinator in the Afton School District. She called us. And that's what we were able to do. Through twinning with other conferences in the district, we were able to get her moved out into her own place. Her kids remain here in school in Afton because she loves the school district. That's how powerful the school districts can be.
Mhm. And I was with Ann Love the other day on a home visit, I guess it was Monday, and the neighbor we were visiting with mentioned the fact that she really felt she's a stay-at-home mom, but she really needed to find a job. And Ann mentioned that she worked with Carly or the other counselor, whichever one it was, at the school district, gave them a reference for this neighbor, and that neighbor's now working at the school district so that she can be close to her child and she has the same hours. So that I just can't mention how strongly I think it is to reach out to the schools in your area.
Definitely.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, other comments or questions?
Peggy, I just wanted to give
Yes, Barbara.
Yes, Barbara again. A shout out to the library again in the county as a resource. I know Weber branch and I believe 5 other branches, this is in the county, mostly North County, have a social worker on site, which I think Mike mentioned. The one at Weber is on site 4 days a week.
Abby Fry.
Yes, Abby Fry, and I've met with her.
Yep.
Very nice young woman, and she does answer her phone for appointments, or else you can go through the library to set up an online appointment. She's very resourceful for our neighbors in need who have a lot of questions. The other thing about the library is that I think most of you may know, they are a distribution site for diapers. And there are 6 libraries that do that in the county, Weber Road, Parkview, Natural Bridge, Lewis and Clark, Grand Glaze, and Flow Valley. The parent or the caretaker just has to show the library card once with the address, and then anyone can pick these diapers up once a month for the neighbor in need. It's just wonderful. They do run out of
St. Louis Diaper Bank.
I'm sorry.
Are they part of the St. Louis Diaper Bank?
I believe that's where they get their diapers from, and they usually have a good supply. You can call the library and find out what size they have. They run out of the larger sizes first, 5 and 6. The other thing the libraries have the after-school meals during the winter, but last summer, and I believe they'll continue it again this year, Weber, for instance, had a drive-through pickup of food every day at noon. And there you did not have to show any proof. Even I could pick up food for a neighbor in need for the children, you know, and then I believe on Wednesdays they had produce that we could pick up. So those are 2 other things that the library offers. There's a wealth of, you know, help for our neighbors, and it's all on their website.
Thank you, Barbara.
Sorry, the social workers that you guys say are at the libraries in St. Louis County and St. Louis City, are they employees of the library district? Are they so the library actually pays their salaries? Are they part of the county?
Social
Go ahead, Mike.
Sandy, she actually works for Epworth here in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's one other one, and I don't know, I believe she also works for Epworth, and I'm not sure which library she said she was at, but it's, I want to say it's Northwest County. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, there is 2 of them right now, and they're both from Epworth.
I know that they recently opened a small satellite branch of the library that's in High Ridge, and it's out here in Cedar Hill. So we had nothing out in this area as far as a library. It's small, but it would be nice to have that type of a resource available in Cedar Hills. Neighbor doesn't have to go all the way to High Ridge, especially since there's no public transport out here.
I would contact, let's see, let me give you Abby's phone number. You can contact her to find out from her boss if she has.
But that Epworth in the city, would they come to Jefferson County?
Epworth goes all over from what I understand. They're
Oh,
not
they
just
do?
local, they're
Okay.
just not county or city.
Yeah.
Abby's phone number is 314-915-2635.
And I can just call her and say, Mike said, just kind of fill you
Yeah,
out. So
just like you want to inquire.
Okay, 314-915-2635.
Correct.
Thank you,
My,
Mike.
my friends, I'm gonna say there's something in the chat and it looks like Terry has left us, but we had a Vincentian say, why are you doing this like this and not putting this in the newsletter? The sharing of, so we have it in writing. The sharing of this information comes from you talking to each other and learning from
Right.
each other. And so we can't replace that in a newsletter. We have recorded it and we will send it out to everyone who is attending so that you can then share it with your conference members as well, or anyone else that you want to share it with. And when we do have resources to share, Varietta Anthony has hosted a whole series of Zoom sessions, and we share those as well via email to those who register, and sometimes in the newsletter if it is something that kind of spans the whole archdiocese. So we are trying to do those things as well. But I think when you have the chance to talk to each other, that's why it's called the Wisdom Series, as Peggy referenced.
And I'll plug those.
Julie, I think we have just 2 minutes left.
Yes. Can I
So-
screen share again, Peggy?
Would you please? And
Yes,
while
I
you're,
will.
while you're doing that, I'm going to mention to all of you that today is the feast of Saint Isidore. And so he is the patron saint of farmers and farm workers. And those are the people without whom we would have nothing to eat. So please remember them in your prayers, and especially those parts of our archdiocese that are rural and provide the food that all of us need to live on. So we want to stress that the home visit impacts one household at a time. Systemic change allows us to impact many neighbors at one time. As you work with these programs and other organizations, when you come up against things that are roadblocks that demand effort by the government to make a change in policy, please be sure to bring that to your conferences. And the conferences need to bring that also to the Voice for the Poor, because that is what our aim is to really work towards systemic change and allow people to be able to advocate for themselves. So Julie, if you'll go to the, I think we have another quote from Blessed Frederick, and I like this one. Do not be afraid of new beginnings. Be creative, be inventive, organize new works of love in the service of the poor. You who have energy, who have enthusiasm, who want to do something of value for the future, be inventive, launch out, do not wait. So there's a slide that shows up upcoming events.
And now there we go.
There it is. Okay, so there's another one, Wisdom Series coming up in June, a home visit workshop in June, and an Ozanam orientation also in June. So now, Prudence, if you would lead us in the closing prayer, please.
Prudence, you might be muted.
Yeah, sorry, my phone rang and I didn't want to distress. Christ, full of mercy, your love embraces everyone. Through your death and resurrection, you call us in faith to the same mercy and compassion to those we encounter every day. May our eyes always see the poor, the lonely and neglected as your sons and daughters, totally loved and cherished by you. Grant us the ability to bring hope to all we serve in your name. Amen.
So thank you to everybody, especially thanks to our panelists, and may you all have a blessed evening and balance of the week. God bless.
Amen.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good session.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.